Hello Pilgrim. It has been quite a while. It is, what date is today? It's the 4th of July. Okay, so I am finally in my studio after all this time. I have been absent from here for a lot, I've been here on and off over the last, this whole year. I mean, it's July now. And I haven't been in my studio bar the odd day here and there since this year, at all this year, I mean. Sorry, I have a migraine coming on here now after spending the day here, and I'm not sure what brought that on, because like I've eaten and I've drank water. But I was using Mod Podge, which stinks, and I didn't know that because I don't normally use it, but I'm after running out of liquid medium, so I kind of had to use it because I was doing some collage work. So I think that's what gave me the migraine. Smelly things like Sharpie pens and those horrible artificial air fresheners that people hang off their cars. I fucking hate them. If I have to get into a car that has one of them in it, I end up like that in the car, because like 10 minutes and I will have a migraine. Okay, so here I am back in the studio, and I did some work today. I did some painting today, and do you know what? I really needed to do that. I have been missing that, I think, more than I even realized. So well, let me show you around the studio first before I go into anything else, because I want to check in with you. Now this is only going to make sense, really. Well, no, it'll make sense anyway. But the letterPOD, June's letterPOD, I just received correspondence from the Pilgrim out in Australia, and I generally know by the time the Australian mail arrives that everybody should have their pods by now. So I wanted to reflect. I have a reflection on my reflection that I shared in June. Okay, so let me show you around my studio. I've done this on past videos, but sure, why should you have to go back and look at them? Now let me get out of the way, because am I doing this right? Yeah. Okay, I'll get out of the way because everything will just so here's what I was working on today. I just created for myself. I started a load of paintings. So I created a load of I suppose you could call them backgrounds to get me started, because I really need to do and wanted to do more work. New work. That's what I did. Some backgrounds. Look at the poor ivy. Jesus, I'm just not here enough to keep the flowers from dying, or the plants from dying. And I mean, that's ivy, So backgrounds. That one kind of got a bit more attention today. I fell into that one. I was trying not to do that and just keep them all messy and loose. But I kind of fell into this one, and it went a little bit further than the rest, and it's a little bit busy, and I don't really know where it's going to go, but I'll walk away and leave it for the moment. So yeah, lots of background stuff. I like to have a lot of paintings on the go at once, because once I start, I just have to keep going at things, and the worst thing I can do then is to only have one to work on, because I won't even wait for paint to dry and I'll just work the shit out of it, So here's my magic, my magic door, one of them. I set out to paint these bloody walls and that door just like normal, like a normal person, with just white, but no, couldn't do it. Just cannot do it. I have zero patience, folks, zero. Can't do things that bore me. So this is where I was today. This room was empty when I came in this morning because I had another artist here, and I just pulled out all my own supplies and made a big mess. This is a piece I was working on today. I haven't committed the words yet, but anyway. It says, Grace. This is where I was working today and what I was working on. And this is my studio. It was so good to be back here today, it really was, because it's just, hello. This is my little sand tray corner. I use my sand tray in the studio and I use it in my work. I was using it this morning. I didn't light the candle, but I just put a little thing in there this morning, just to kind of, you know, externalize the psychodrama. There's always a fucking psychodrama when it's me. Hi. So these are all my, I have some, what do you call them, oracle cards and stuff. I have my little fairy door. And some dried roses, which I always have everywhere because I love them. And all these little figurines. Yeah. And this yoke. This very simple thing. But I mean, who thought to put acorns, string and bells together? I mean, just thank you. Whoever decided to put those things together, because I love it. Oh, my head. God, isn't migraine just so bad? Like, it just sucks donkey balls. Let me take a drink of water. Oh, I can see over my shoulder. I never showed you my wishing tree. This sofa, that's not the right cover. I painted one of these, that's canvas, and I painted a canvas to make a cover out of it. So this is my wishing tree that my mammy got me from the studio. Isn't it lovely? I must take that scary girl down from behind it, because I just pilgrim soul. And this is a cloth doll, art doll, that my friend and fellow artist Fonda Clark Height, we exchanged some stuff a few years ago. I love that. And stars and butterflies and feathers. And then these are just pieces of fabric that I tied together, and they're wishes. Sometimes I will hang an actual wish, like a tag on there. Okay. I just saw the timer. I mean, it's 15 minutes already. Can I just, you could tell I'm out of practice. Take forever. Okay. So I've been thinking since of the letter that I sent last month. Now, you're not going to, you're not going to know what letter I'm talking about if you hadn't subscribed last month. But I send this monthly letter. I'll put a link to it below. I won't bother talking about it now. But it's a monthly letter that I send out in the real mail. And it really is just kind of like a reflection on what I'm thinking about at the moment, or what it's personal, it's like what am I up against at the moment. And generally it's like, like a reflection on that thing. And last month it was a reflection on having vision and the power of vision in manifesting things in your life, and I suppose the power of envisioning. And I mean, I know that, and I know we all know that, you know what I mean? Like, it's isn't this what the secret? No, I didn't actually read The Secret, but isn't this what The Secret was all about, and law of attraction and all that stuff? Like, if you can see it, you can be it, kind of a thing. And I had been talking about how that came up was that, I was probably complaining online about something, and it was just something about, it being hard work. And somebody was saying to me, like, what drives you, what makes all the hard work worthwhile? And I was saying, it's because I get to be the person I have envisioned I would be, you know, because I've always envisioned myself as an artist. And that, to manifest that me, you know, like I do it because I can't bear to not. Like I just couldn't go, you know, live my life with the regret of never having become the artist I've always imagined myself to be, and always envisioned myself to be, and always known myself to be. And that vision was never, that vision was always like, it was, it took me quite a while to inhabit it, all right, and to remove some of the blocks that would have been in the way to me saying, yes, I actually, you know, to come out of the creative closet. But I did. And, you know, I'm kind of like, as a result, I'm aligned and I'm on that road, and kind of like there is no obstacle to, you know, yeah, it's hard and it'll probably make me cry. And I have cried a lot on this journey, just in pure frustration and tiredness sometimes, despair. But, you know, it's never enough to make me say, oh, fuck this, I'm not doing it, you know, I just have to keep going. But anyway, I was, that's what I was saying. I was saying, you know, that what makes the hard work worthwhile is that I get to be me, you know. And the mantra I was raised on was be yourself. But it was always just be yourself, you know, the just part being the, you know, as if it was easy, you know, like just be yourself, like, you know. And I'm like, but who the fuck is that? But yeah, so I don't use the just part, because it's not a case of, you know, just be yourself. There's a lot of work. It's really fucking hard work to be yourself. If being yourself means, you know, being the same person across the board, like no matter where you are, you know, the kind of way, like when I was growing up, before I learned how to actually be myself, I remember thinking when I was a teenager, and even a late teenager, and even in my 20s, I had different clusters of friends, you know, and even, let's say, family. I was a different version of me depending on who I was with, you know. Like I had my party friends, and then I had my sensible friends, and then I had the friends I had when I was a kid, and then I'd had, you know, cousins. And then of course I had my parents, my siblings, and I wasn't the same person. I was like this fucking closet case. I don't know how I remembered who I was half the time, but like over in my party, with my party friends, I was just like this wild yolk that just let me hair down, who would never, you know, socialize like that with my sensible friends. So yeah, so I think that's what being yourself means. It means that you don't have to kind of keep tally of who was I the last time I met X, you know, and the anxiety of who am I going to be now, like when I meet this new person, you know, how do I decide who I'm going to be? What am I going to reveal to this person? How am I going to play up to them? And of course, that's so rooted in anxiety. And, you know, I remember saying to my counsellor years ago that I felt like a human scanner, you know, like that I would just scan other people, or I would scan a room, or I would just get a sense of, you know, what would be accepted about me here and what won't. And then I would just adjust myself accordingly. Either, you know, perform or just kind of conceal that about me that I thought wouldn't fit in. But anyway, I've totally gone off track there. So we're talking about vision. Oh yeah, and what that led me to think was, you know, about what I'm fascinated by, you know, so she's asking me that question. She's like, well, what keeps you going? Because she's saying that she finds it difficult to keep going as the artist and as the artist self. And I'm saying to myself, well, you know, I have that question too of others, you know, so I look at other people, and I gave some examples of the other people that I look at and say, how the fuck do they do that? Like, what keeps them going? And the examples that I gave, of course, were, you know, Everest climbers for a start, mountaineers, road racers, and you know, Olympic athletes and just like really high performing people, Madonna, things like that. And I'm like, what the fuck drives them, you know? And that's where I said, it's vision, because that's who they envision themselves to be. So it that's the exact same thing that drives them. But what I noticed afterwards, and here's where my reflecting on the reflection comes in. I noticed afterwards, once I had the letter sent and all, I said, my God, there is a common denominator in the examples I gave. So I gave the Everest climbers, I gave the road racers, I gave the, you know, the Olympic athletes, and then, you know, like the likes of Madonna, who was just like all these really high performers, performance achievers, you know, really high achievers. So that's one thing I picked. I'm looking to the really high achievers and saying, how the fuck how do you do it? And then the other thing they had in common, and here was where it tied into the end of my letter, was that they all collaborate with their physical selves to achieve the thing they envision themselves achieving, right? Now, the end of my letter, I ended my letter by kind of revealing about me that I have this, you know, major struggle with, I have major food issues, you know, and major body image issues. And obviously, you know, they fuel each other, and I've had it all my life. I am a serial binger purger, and you know, that I suppose arose out of just getting caught in the diet mentality, and before that thinking that, you know, what was wrong with me was that I was fat, and not feeling, and when we go back to this whole be yourself, you know, just not feeling that I was ever good enough, that I always had to perform, or that I had to measure up in some way. That meant, you know, that I just wasn't good enough, you know. So big self-esteem and self-value, worth, everything issues, and all tied up in weight and body image, and it's so much deeper than that. There isn't even enough time to go there, you know. I don't even know, will I ever be able to tell that story, because first of all, it is all encompassing. There is not an area of my life that is not contaminated by that story, and that is not ruled by that story. And I'm still there. There's still, like, I can't even tell that story on reflection. I can't tell it from a place of recovery, because I haven't recovered. And it's a battle every day. So that's what I shared in the end of my letter, is that this fucking battle for recovery is ongoing. And last year, I got to a place with it that I thought I was gaining ground. Of course, now that I look back, I wasn't. What was happening was I was just getting good at the diet part. I was shrinking, you know. I wasn't dieting, but I was, you know, trying to find what's normal. I don't know what the fuck is normal. There is no normal for me with this. Anyway, I was saying, you know, that I had a relapse, and then I had this total collapse, and I haven't been able to get myself back on track yet. And I'm just in this spiral of binge, and then, you know, coming around again, trying to feed myself properly, and binge again, and then depression, shame, anger. And I think there's something going on anyway with my body. There's a hormonal mayhem going on in there, and you know, I don't even know where to go to get this shit tested. I've decided there's a neurotransmitter problem with me, and I don't even know where to get that tested. But anyway, that's another thing altogether. So I recognized that the examples I chose were all for this kind of like what I'm fascinated with. they all have that physical element. They all have that mind over body kind of a thing, or mind over matter, or they all are in collaboration and cooperation with their bodies. And I mean, the level of endurance that is required to climb Everest, or to, you know, sit on a bike that weighs more than you at 200 miles an hour around the bend. I mean, that would just like, I mean, the core strength alone just to do that. And then there's, you know, obviously Olympic athletes. I mean, I nearly have hyperventilation when I think about what it takes to train like that, to get to that. Like, what the hell do you have to go through with your body? How do you endure that? And then of course there's Madonna, you know, who just like is hitting 60 and is still like, you know, like if I would be terrified to ever be in Madonna's like just sphere, because I would be afraid. I would even be afraid of going for a walk with Madonna, or it doesn't even have to be her, but like this panic about not being able, this physical that I have, and I've done another vlog about this before, of this disconnect that I have, this broken relationship between me and my physical self that I have. But that's what I recognized about my letter. I was like, oh my God, the people who fascinate me and who I ask, you know, how do they do that? It's about endurance, and it's about how do they endure the physical discomforts they do in order to reach their goals. Like Everest, if you watch any of the documentaries on Everest, it's cruel what the body goes through up there. And I mean, it's also terrifying, the amount of trust that you have to have, and it's the same with all of these people. Like you have to be on board with your body. There's no fucking around with this, you know. And I just don't have that. I mean, I've heard a lot, I've been listening to a lot of things lately. There's a couple of podcast episodes that I was listening to lately, and yoga keeps coming up, you know. And I had started yoga earlier on this year in January, and I was doing Tuesday mornings, and I even was doing a little bit at home, and then it just dropped off because it's just not there. It just doesn't click with me at all. And I wonder, is it because I just have no connection whatsoever with my body, and I don't like becoming aware of it. I just do not like the feeling of my body under stress or anything. I just don't like it. I don't like the idea, and I don't know if I don't know what it is, but like psychologically, it's like there's just so much to this. I can't even talk about it, but like there's just so much to it. And yeah, so that's what I look at people who achieve things because of, you know, their commitment to a physical, what would you call that? What's the word I'm looking for? This physical, I don't know, condition or whatever. To be able to perform physically. I remember saying, because I got a trainer years ago when I lost an awful lot of weight in a very violent way. And of course, it was coming back on, and I was in fucking total panic mode over it. And it was just spiraling back on, and I was terrified. So what did I do? Of course, I went and sacrificed myself to a trainer. You know, I was like, basically, please beat the fucking shit out of me, because I'm not beating myself up enough, thanks. And so we went through this, I'm going to call it rigorous, torturous, 5-day-a-week kind of training session. And it wasn't. I mean, it was, if you're into that kind of thing, it was great. And I got really strong, but every second of it was a nightmare for me, you know. But I did it. And I think I traumatized myself in the process, because last year I signed up for the gym again and a trainer, and that wasn't to join, that was for a different reason. Maybe I'll tell you about that another time. But anyway, I was just, I was looking for support, and I just went there to find it for kind of the same reasons, because I had started binging again, you know, and I was just like, I was just trying to compensate for it. And anyway, but my God, the panic that I experienced last year and still do, and I get it in yoga class, I get it anywhere. I will just go into an absolute, I wonder, is it from that time? Did I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened that I have created such a panic for myself. So I, like, in order for me to, I don't know, I'm just out of control. I am out of control with how to manage this thing that carries me around and that I have no relationship with. Well, I do. I have a relationship with, but it's a disconnected, it's complete dissociation. I am not on board with it. By it, I mean my body, and it is not on board with me. It's just, it's a place of, I don't know, there's just terror in there, you know. Well, that was uplifting. See, I never plan what I'm going to say on these videos. I don't come on and have a script, or I do have a notebook in front of me to remind myself of what I said in my letter. But after that, I had nothing to say. I didn't even know where that was going to go, to be quite honest. I knew I had more to say, but I didn't know where it was going to go. But that's where it did go. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or, you know, I mean, I generally am not a fan of advice. So the last thing that I want to hear is, you know, oh, you should, I don't know. But I am a fan of conversation, you know, and discussion. So, I don't know. I've opened up the floor. I've thrown myself under the bus, and you are welcome to join me if you want. So I am going to link under this video where we will have this discussion. I would prefer if we have, well, you can have it here on YouTube if you want, but I facilitate a closed Facebook group, and that's called Pilgrims on Deck. So I will link that underneath the video, and please feel free to come on in and join us. And you know, and I'll just link my website and other things down there. So I'm gonna go, okay, because this is really, really long, and my migraine's a bit better. Maybe I did need water. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go. See you later.